Welcome back to Even Tacos Fall Apart, the podcast that's all about nurturing our mental health and well-being. I'm MommaFoxFire, and I am so glad you're here today. We are talking about the mental and emotional effort of healing after trauma. Beyond the physical part, beyond the surgery or the diagnosis or the thing that happened to you, the part that comes after, when everybody around you assumes you're fine because the wound closed up or the treatment worked, but your head and your heart are still trying to catch up to what your body just went through. Healing is not a straight line, and it's definitely not clean. You don't wake up one day and decide you're better, and then you are. Real healing is messy as hell. It's 2 steps forward, and then some random Tuesday you're crying in your car for no reason you could name. It's grieving the person you were before, even if who you are now is stronger. That grief is real, and it deserves space outside of a timeline. And the emotional labor of it is exhausting in a way that's hard to explain to someone who hasn't lived it. You are managing your own fear. You're managing other people's discomfort with your fear. You're trying to hold on to hope on days when hope feels like a luxury you cannot afford. That takes real energy, the kind that doesn't show up on a chart or a lab result. What I've learned, and what I think you'll hear echoed in today's conversation, is that hope may sound like some sort of fluffy concept you either have or you don't, but the reality is hope is a decision you make over and over, sometimes multiple times in a single day, and making that decision is work. It's some of the hardest work a person can do. And doing that work while your body is also trying to heal can be a lot to carry at once. My guest today knows this territory intimately. Rob has been through 4 near-death experiences, including a moment where his heart actually stopped on the operating table. He's dealt with a cancer diagnosis, chronic pain that changed how he moved through the world, and years of numbing things he wasn't ready to face. You're about to hear him get incredibly real with us about what that climb back actually looked like. And spoiler alert, he didn't always know if he was going to make it. Whether you're deep in your own healing right now or standing next to someone who is, I think this conversation could give you something to hold on to. So grab whatever you're drinking, get comfortable, and let's get into it. Here's my conversation with Rene on the mental and emotional effort of healing after trauma. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Mental Health Monday here on Even Tacos Fall Apart. I am so glad that you are here today. I'm so glad that you're here to share your time. As always, we have a great guest lined up for you. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them into the chat and we'll make sure to get them addressed while we are here and while we are live. I'm going to give you guys some links here in just a second and make sure that y'all are able to connect in with our guest. But I want to talk about my guest for just a minute because he has lived through 4 near-death experiences, including a moment on the operating table where his heart actually stopped all the way. After 25 years in corporate tech and a stage 3 melanoma diagnosis, Rene definitely rebuilt how he thinks about healing, and we're going to talk about that a lot tonight. He is now a faith-based wellness advocate, the host of the Biohackingville podcast, founder of Exodus Strong, and the author of an upcoming book called Light Code. His whole mission is helping people heal their body, heal their mind, and heal their spirit without losing themselves in the process. So, Rob, thank you so much, and welcome to Even Tacos Fall Apart.
I am so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
100%. Glad to be having your company tonight. So here's some links. I promised y'all links. There's website, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's LinkedIn. Pop through to any of those while we're chatting here and connect with Rob. Make sure that you are liking a post. Make sure you are commenting on a post. Make sure you are retweeting or reposting a post. That'll get him into your algorithm for good. So our topic tonight is the mental and emotional effort of healing after trauma. And before we get into that, I want to make sure that you guys are already ready and for these kind of get to know you questions. So we're going to get into a little bit of just Rob, what makes you tick, and then we'll get into kind of the meat and bones of the conversation. But like I said, we do have that question queue open. If you have any questions, pop them into the chat. We will get them addressed while we are here, while we are live. That is why we do these live. So I love it whenever we get those questions. Feel free to just throw them out there, whether you're here on Twitch or on YouTube. But Rob, what made you interested in talking about mental health?
Yeah, that's an awesome question because it's something if you'd asked me, 5 years ago, I'd be doing what I'm doing right now with you. I would have said you're absolutely nuts. There's no way I'm talking about that. I literally was in the corporate world selling enterprise software and had no time or thought about my health and or care about my health and or mental health. It was like I had
Mm.
blinders on literally, and I've been hit by two trucks in my life. The first one when I was a young athlete, I physically got hit by a 4x4 truck, and that was crazy. That was one of my multiple near death experiences. But the pandemic was kind of my awakening from a health perspective because that was I call it the second truck that hit me because I ended up losing my corporate job because I couldn't travel anymore. I was a
Mm.
traveling salesperson. I lived in Oregon and I would go to California, I'd go to Washington, I'd fly all over the place, visiting these really large corporations, selling them enterprise software. And man, when the pandemic hit and I was unable to travel, they downsized the team because there was like, well, we're not sure what's going on. So, make a long story short, it was the
Yeah.
first time in my life that I'd had time to investigate things that were going on. I took my blinders off and I was like, "Oh boy, this is kind of scary. This virus that's out there is how do I keep my family safe?" So I started going back to when I was a young athlete. One of the things I'd learned as an athlete was what you put in your mouth fuels your body. And I read a book that was
Mm-hmm.
called Eat to Win. Then that book really transformed me from a running perspective because I learned how to fuel the body, and I was a distance runner. So at the end of a race, I always had extra energy. And man, my competition would get so mad because we'd run the race, and I would always keep them, and they're just like, how do you always do that?" I attributed it one, God gave me some special talent, so I thank him for that, but I think it was a lot to do with me understanding how the body was fueled, and I was able to have that extra energy when I needed it. So that's why I mentioned that, just because when the pandemic hit, I started thinking about that. I'm like, okay, our body runs on what we eat, and so I was like, how do we take care of ourselves? And so I started doing research on that. And then I saw this one doctor that was getting vilified for he was getting sued for billions of dollars to by talking about
Mm.
vitamin D. And I was like, okay, vitamin D, I'm pretty sure that's like from the sun, right? And so I was doing research on vitamin D, and I was like, man, I wonder why that's so bad. And I couldn't find anything wrong with vitamin D. I'm like, right, without the sun, we don't have oxygen, we don't breathe. It was like, what? Yeah, I couldn't find anything wrong with vitamin D basically at the end of the day. So I'm like, okay, maybe
Yeah.
this doctor is just a super bad dude, right? Maybe he's got skeletons in his closet. So I started researching everything about the doctor. And it was like, he was an all natural holistic practitioner helping people, with natural solutions. I was like, okay, I can't find anything bad. So I was like, well, then what's the motivation? Why are they suing him? And so I started doing research on the what their motivation was. And as I dug in to that, that's what just opened up my eyes to, what I call the medical cartel, or the big pharma, a lot of people call it. And just
Yeah.
started doing research on the healthcare industry and how it was taken over in the early 1900s. And I was like, oh my gosh, I had no clue. And so like I told you early on, I had blinders and didn't care about anything about the news. I didn't care about politics. I just cared about my job. I was really good at my job, and I loved sports, and I loved things about what I was interested in, but all the other stuff I just didn't care about. So man, what a eye-opening
Mhm.
experience that was for me when and then I started doing research on all these, going down all what they call the rabbit holes, right? Started going down a rabbit hole here and a rabbit hole there, a rabbit hole here. I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much that I had no clue of. And so the one thing I want to tell everybody is, that don't believe anything I say. Do your own
Mhm.
research, but that research skill is so much fun and so important that, man, I just neglected it for a really, really long time. And now I love it because when I get a topic, someone will give me a topic, and I'm not going to necessarily believe what they tell me. I'm going to say, okay, great. Thank you for that information. I'll take that. And then I'm going to go research it from the top to the bottom, the right to the left. I'm going to take all sides
Yeah.
in, and then I'm going to evaluate it from my perspective. And then I'll make a decision on whether I think that topic or whatever that point is, how I feel about it. And so that's been fun because, oh my gosh, once you see some of these things, you can't unsee them. And so
Yeah.
that's when I started getting really, really interested in health in general. And the mental health is a super duper big part of health and part of my journey. I was a highly functional alcoholic, and I've
Mm.
been dry for maybe 8 years. And I think a lot of that was mental, right? And mental health was a big maybe reason why I was masking a lot of my problems and issues and not thinking about them and not worrying about them. And then, man, one of the reasons why I stopped drinking was my mental capacity. And so I was just all of a sudden forgetting things. And it was like my wife would say, we just talked about that, an hour ago. I'm like, we did? It was just like
No.
weird, and I didn't realize the cognitive decline that my body was doing because of that. So mentally, I was in a really bad state. I was way overweight and I was out of shape. I was just not thinking well and just blah, And so mentally, I think,
Yeah.
from a mental health perspective, I was not a good spot. So that's been fun to see, and I've gotten on the other side of that, and I'm so excited that where my life is today. It's like, gosh, God has done so many things to me and through me that I believe he's got me on this planet to help people with their health and then hopefully their faith through their health. That's what I believe I'm here on the earth for. That's why I created the light code that we'll talk about and all those types of things. That's a very long-winded answer to
That's
your
okay.
question of what got me interested in health. That
Yeah. No, I think one of the things that you said about just health in general and then mental health being such a big part of it, I think that gets dismissed a lot of the mental health is over here and health is over here. And it's like your brain, where all the mental health happens, controls your entire self. Like I feel
amen.
like that should
Yeah.
be
Yeah, there
it
there
should be
is
the
no.
biggest part of health, but
Yeah. In my opinion, health is health, whether it's mental health or whether it's
yeah.
physical health. It's all your God created this temple so incredibly cool, and it's so complex, right? The doctors, in medicines and scientists, they still haven't figured out how this exactly works, right? They're like, well, we
Yeah.
think it does this, and we know it does this, and if you do this, then it does that. But there's still energy and lots of different types of medicines that are being researched now that they still can't even measure, right? And how that
Mhm.
impacts the body. And so it's just fascinating to me is like how complex this whole thing is, right? Whether it's your brain, the
Yeah.
the mental part, or whether it's your knee, right? And how it works. And then you start looking at inside the body how your cells work and how the mitochondrial process works. And that's what I've been just super fascinated about with my light code process is I'm trying to help the mitochondria both from the outside, with light therapy, as well as the inside, right? To get the nutrients into the body the right way to help your bloodstream and help the nutrients and help your mitochondria from that way. And I'm helping it with light. And I'm just like, you need oxygen, you need everything for your body to work the
Mhm.
way God designed it. And it's just fascinating when you start digging in and looking at all these puzzle pieces and how they all fit together. And the mental part of
Yeah.
health is huge, right? It really, really is. It's so fun to look at the research about how your mind can physically control your body.
Mhm.
And that's like real, right? It's proven that your mind can do that. And so mental
Yeah.
health, if you're looking at things glass half empty, things are going to be glass half empty, right? But if you're looking at things from a glass half full perspective and you start your day with gratitude and love, then guess what? Things start being happy. Things start, it's just amazing how just little teeny mental shifts can change an outcome, which is a lot of fun. So I like to talk
Yeah.
about that. That's part of my whole health system is the mind body spirit connection is a big piece of what I believe in.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's great, and it's that curiosity getting you into just wanting to talk about all of this is a really
Yeah.
good thing. I think
Like I
curiosity
said,
about so many things could do so much good.
yeah, I was not interested in these conversations.
Yeah. Do you have a true crime story that fascinates you?
Gosh, yeah, that's I love that question just because that is it really intriguing. The one that I've always been fascinated with true crime stuff, and
Mhm.
for some reason, the Ted Bundy thing was the one that really caught me. And I think it's because I lived in Utah, and he traveled through
Mm,
Utah and traveled through some of the areas where I was, and some of the women that he picked up and unfortunately murdered. Right, were right where I was living, so it just made it real, and I'm like, "Holy smokes, this is like real life, this could really, it did really happen, and oh my gosh, this guy's what would cause someone to do that, and he looks so normal." It's just like, I
mhm.
just I just don't get it, right? So that was the one that I dug into. I was like, "Oh my gosh, what's going how does this happen? How did he do that?" And so that's probably my first, real deep dive into something really strange and weird like that was
Yeah, yeah. So have you always been just a researcher? Has that always been like as a kid, were you kind of trying to figure stuff out? Obviously, it was different whenever
eh,
we were kids and you had to go to a library and look up stuff in
right?
books, but has that always been something that you've been interested in?
I loved answers, and I think, technology was where
Yeah.
what my passion was. So, like, when I first was able to get a Commodore 64, I think it was, it was like, the first, like, gaming machine that you could also do some computing stuff with, and
Yeah.
that stuff fascinated me, so I just loved that part about the world. I was like, "Wow, this is neat. This is gonna be transformational in people's lives," and I loved gaming, right? When I got my first Commodore 64, it was, like, so cool, and you could do Pong, right? And you could do all those little, games with it, and it's just so incredibly crazy how that's transformed our world now. Games are so immersive, and it's just a whole 100% different world. I did love technology, but, like, that's why I went into after my accident in college, getting hit by that truck, well, instead of I was originally wanting to be a professional runner. That's what I thought I was going to be, and then that changed after I got hit by the truck, but the good news is I did have a my older brother, he's 4 years older than I. He, really been a mentor of mine my entire life, for life stages. Then he'd come back to me and say, "Hey, don't screw up on this stage because I messed up on that one," right? And so that was really good for me. Like in high school, in middle school, I didn't even really care about school. I got B's and C's, and I just as a middle of the road student. And he had just gone through high school, and he went into college, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize how you're from ninth grade on." Everything counts, right? It's like
Yeah.
every grade from ninth grade on, it just sits with you forever. And so he set me down before my ninth grade year and said, "Okay, I know you don't like school. I know it's like whatever, and you're not a bad student, but listen, everything you do from here on counts. And do you want to get
Yeah.
a good job? Yes. Do you want to go to good college? Yes. Okay, then you need to do this. You need to get good grades." And I was like, "Wow, okay." And I'm just such a competitive person that I was okay. And so literally I got of straight A's from my ninth grade year through all the ways through my high school. I think I got one B. I was really not
Mhm.
happy with that B during my 4 years of high school. But I ended up getting a flow and graduating with honors and all that kind of fun stuff. But I would have never have done that if it wasn't for my brother.
Yeah. Oh, that's a really cool way to go through life though, to have somebody there
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, make sure."
Hey. Right,
Or
right. I mean,
I
wouldn't that be
see
nice
where
to
you're
have.
going. I see how you are. Here's some specific advice that I just went through. That's
Yeah.
really neat.
Yep. He's been amazing my entire life. So he and I are pretty close. That's why I
That's
ended
great.
up being in Texas like we talked about before the show.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about Pong. If you get a chance, there is a video game museum in North Texas. It's in Frisco. And
Oh, wow.
they have a huge Pong that you can play. It's like a on the wall that you can
Oh,
play against other
seriously.
people.
Awesome.
It's a lot of fun. But you go through the whole thing and it's like, oh, here's this old his bedroom with an old game set. And then you see all these other things behind the on display and it's like, "Wait, why is an Xbox 360 here? That's new." And it's like, "No, it's 20 years old now."
That would be, yeah, I would actually
But it's a
love
lot
that.
of
I'm gonna
fun.
look that up. That would be fun.
Yeah,
That
it's
was
I
my
think
that was my passion, right? Way back then. That was awesome. I love that
yeah.
stuff.
It was a lot of nostalgia for me, and whenever we took the kids, it was like it wasn't near as much nostalgia for them. It was more of a,
Right.
"Mom, why are you even caring about this?" But they had a
Right.
really good time. So they also have an arcade at the end that you can go and you can
Oh,
just
good.
play the games and stuff in. So it's really neat. It's a
Very
really cool
fun.
thing. So
Definitely on my list now.
take
I
us
like it.
back. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I highly, highly recommend it. It is a lot of. It's just a blast. It's just a blast. So take us back to that moment on the operating table. Your heart stopped. Do you remember anything from that? What was going through your mind whenever you woke up and they told you your heart stopped?
Yeah, it was such a crazy experience just because it was like so the whole heart thing if, is to preface it why I was on the operating table was is pretty crazy. It's like I honestly believe that I have or had was diagnosed with cancer to save my life. And I know that sounds really
Mm-hmm.
strange to say, but I'm such a stubborn person that I had this heart issue called bradycardia. This will take a few minutes to explain, but I think it's important because it's a big part of the change of my entire life
Please, yeah, please
was
do.
this event. But the my heart, even when I was in my teens, I remember going to the and they were freaking out about my EKG, right? They put down, I did
Mm-hmm.
an EKG on me and it wasn't normal. And they're just like, holy smoke. So they put me through the whole testing process where I'd get on the treadmill and did that. And they did the an analysis of my heart and they did the whole workup and just said, wow, you're an anomaly. And from my running days, right, I had really, really, really strong heart. So they're just like, we don't understand how you're not feeling the effects of why your heart is beating so slow. I was like, hey, they said, you can either get a pacemaker, and this was in my 20s, right? Or you can just continue to live life and evaluate it later on. And I chose the latter. I said, "Well, I'll just see how it
Yeah.
goes." And then I'd forgotten all about that. Literally, decades later, I'm living my life, and I was in Texas, and I was just like, my wife went and got her blood work done, and she's like, "I think I'm gonna, you should probably get your blood work tested too." I'm like, "Yeah, that's probably a good idea." So I went to the doctor to get my blood test, and they poked my finger and took some blood and did my blood work up, but then they did my pulse, right? They just wanted to do my vitals. There's like the nurse is freaking out with this little machine, right? She kept putting it on my finger and she's like, this thing's not working. She goes, gets another one, puts it on my finger, and she's just like, I don't understand. She goes, I think my tools are broken. And I'm like, why? What's going on? She says it says your heart's in the 35, and I'm just like, is that bad? And she's like, yeah, I've never seen somebody walking around like you are with a heart rate that low. So then she calls a doctor in, and then it just started this whole hubbub. It's like, oh my gosh, we need to do an EKG, do an EKG on me. The EKG came back abnormal, and it was like, oh my gosh, we need to send you to a cardiologist right away. And I was just like, wow, really? And to me, nothing was different. It was just that's the way I'd been living for decades.
Yeah.
And go through another to the cardiologist, and he does the whole workup and do the whole stress test and everything again. And he's like, you are, at the end of the day, he's like, you are an anomaly. He says, you should not be walking around normal like you are. You should be
Mhm.
fainting. You should be just exhausted. I was running 3 days a week. I was exercising, lifting weights. I was
Wow.
just like, I was in shape and I was exercising. So I just like felt normal. And he's just like, that's just not abnormal. I think you should get a pacemaker. And I was like, and this was the time when I was doing all the research on the healthcare stuff, right? So I was really digging into all natural health, and I was very anti big pharmas, and I was anti doctor at that point. I was like, I don't want anything to do with the healthcare system. I wanted to do things naturally. So stubborn Rob says, I'm going to try to fix it myself. And so I went through thousands of dollars worth of treatments and did all these interesting treatments, NET treatments, just some really advanced all natural treatments and laser therapy, lots of different things. And nothing was fixing my heart. And lo and behold, I have this mole on my ankle. And the mole on my ankle had been there for quite some time, and I'd ignored it. And I didn't get it checked. And then finally, I do check it, and guess what? It comes back. The dermatologist says, "Oh my gosh, you've got malignant melanoma." And I'm like, "Well,
Mhm.
I've heard of it, but I didn't really know what that meant." Do research on that, and I was like, "Oh, that's not good. That's the C word."
Yeah.
So I literally have the C word. That sucks. And then it was a pretty deep one. And they said it's so deep that it could be a really big problem. So you need to go see an oncologist.
Mhm.
So I go see an oncologist, and he starts evaluating me, and he's like, yeah, this is not good. We need to operate to remove the spot. And I'm like, okay. And then so I do the work up there, and they did the analysis of my body. They said, "Oh my gosh, your heart." It's like, "Oh yeah, I do have a different heart." And they're like, "We can't operate on you with your heart being so slow. You need to go see
Oh,
a
wow.
cardiologist." So guess what? So I go see the second cardiologist, actually the third one, but the second one within a very short period of time. See them, and they're like, "Well, yeah, we can't operate on you until you get your heart, till you get a pace or until you get your heart fixed."
Yeah.
Do that. And I'm like, I still was just really hesitant, didn't want to do it. And so I called back the doctor and I said, hey, now the tumors have actually spread into my groin. So that was very bad. As I was researching that, I'm like, uh-oh, this has gotten into my
Yeah.
lymphatic system. And once melanoma gets in your lymphatic system, if you look at the statistics, it's 3 or 4 months typically. With a lot of times people don't it spreads so fast throughout the whole body that you don't last long. And so that put all the alarm bells off, and I started doing some very advanced holistic treatments for my health. And that's another story. But I did go do that, and literally as part of that, I had to go get my metals removed from my mouth, because one of the things you find when you start doing research on the big C word, and you look at all natural health, and you dig into it, that your mouth actually has direct connections to every organ in your body. And
Mhm.
the metals in the amalgam I had on my mouth and the root canals in your mouth can actually cause, if you have a bacteria in a root canal, even though the canal is fine, but your tooth has hundreds of little cavities in it. And that cavity could have, or a little space in it, could have a bacteria in it that is infected, that's not inflamed, so you don't know it's infected, and it can actually connect to my ankle, and it could have
Mhm.
literally come from my mouth, of why I ended up contracting that on my ankle. And so I was doing research on all this, right? Like I told you, the research bug I had, I was just like researching anything and
Yeah.
everything and going deep on this. Was like, how am I going to fix this? How am I going to stay alive? How am I going to do all this? So I dig into that whole process, and I go down to Mexico to get my mouth fixed. So I did 16 different things in my mouth on a 3-day period. It was absolutely bonkers. Got four removed, and got my amalgams removed, and my root canals removed, and but as part of that process, the dental place said, we need to put you under. And they said they checked my heart. They like, we can't put you under. So guess what they
Yeah.
made me do? I go talk to the
Go back
third
to the
cardiologist
cardiologist.
in Mexico. What does that cardiologist tell me? What do you think? You need a
Gotta be the
pacemaker,
same
Rob.
thing.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, I'm in Mexico. Maybe I should get a pacemaker, but I was like, I still said no. How stubborn me. So I literally had to sign my life away with the dentist and said, I'm not going to get my heart fixed, but just don't put me under. Just numb me. And so they
Local.
did. They
Oof.
just numbed me, and
Oof.
they monitored me, and yeah, it was brutal. It was not, those 3 days were not fun at all.
Yeah.
But I got through it, and I did survive. I had one really scary problem during that surgery, but I survived, thank God. And then came home after that whole process, and then I started thinking about it. I was like, okay, that's the third cardiologist in a relatively short period of time that said I need a pacemaker. So I started digging into pacemakers, and they're super expensive, and I had no insurance, and I was already freaking out about
Yeah.
the expenses because I didn't have insurance, and the treatments that I was going through were ridiculously expensive. It's like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I'm just like, I can't afford to do a pacemaker. But then at the end of the day, I literally met the oncologist again. He said, we might have to do surgery on those tumors, and so I gave in. I finally said, okay, I'm going to get a pacemaker. So then finally, sorry it took so long to get here, but then I go to get my surgery. But a week before that surgery, I was sitting on the couch at my house, and I almost passed out. And I was like,
Oh,
I'm
wow.
I'm just I'm just sitting on the couch. How do you pass out
Doing
sitting on the
nothing.
couch?
Yeah.
I was like, what the heck? And then I started thinking about it, and a lot of the doctors were like, do you ever faint? Do you ever have issues? And I'm like, no, I've never have. And I hadn't until that incident. And then as I'm driving down to the hospital with my wife in the car with me, I almost passed out again on the freeway going 75
Oh,
miles an hour. And I was just
wow.
like, I almost blacked out. It was the weirdest feeling in the world. I was like, holy smokes, something's going on. And my wife's freaking out. She's grabbing the steering wheel. She's like, what's going
Fair.
on? I was like, pull over. I was like, yeah. I was like, and I'm just like, no, I got it. I'm fine. I'm fine. Stubborn me. Get to the operating, get to the hospital, get into the operating area. They're doing pre-op, and the nurse is freaking out. She does my pulse, and she's like, your heart rate's at 27. She goes, how are you standing there? She goes, I literally wanted to throw
Wow.
you down on the ground and start pumping your chest because you shouldn't be standing here. And I was like, I don't know what's going on, but I guess that's why I'm
I
here,
don't
right?
know, but here I am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm here to get a pacemaker. So like maybe, so
Right.
they get me in to the operating room, and the nurses, the doctors are all there, and then my heart stops. So literally,
Wow.
my heart had been failing for a long time, and it had continued to fail. And by the time I was operating on my, what they call a junctional rhythm, so my backup was back, beating my heart for a really long time, and that had failed. And the bottom chamber of my heart was the only thing that was operating, and that's why it was so low, so slow. And then it gave
Mm-hmm.
out. So it literally gave out while I'm on the operating there. So
Wow.
if God hadn't orchestrated, this is the way I look at it, looking back on it. If God hadn't orchestrated me getting these tumors, I would have never gotten my heart fixed. I would have not done it. And
Mm-hmm.
I would have been anywhere in the world, no matter where I was. without being there, I wouldn't be here today because there's no way to bring me back. It's not, the electrical charge is gone. You can't
Right.
like recharge a dead heart. And so it's like, it's just literally a miracle that God had me there at that particular time. My heart fails. I'm in the operating room with heart specialists who get the pacemaker in. They had to put a temporary one in to get while things were going and to get my heart back going. And they got it back rolling and they backed it off again to see if they could get my heart to beat on its own, and it wouldn't. Literally,
Wow.
if I hadn't been there and have specialists know what they're doing, I would not be here. So that's my craziest and most scary near death experience because it was like real. So looking back on that, really, my entire life changed after that. It was like, it used to be
Yeah.
about me, and I own a company, and I was like, how do I build this company? I wanted to build this company to help people, and I had a really good mission, and it was exciting, but it was still, everything in my life was more important than my mission. And now
Mm,
I'm 100% different. At like 180 degrees change is like, nothing matters to me. My possessions don't matter. My house doesn't matter. My relationship with God is first, and my
mhm.
wife is next, and then I want to help people. That's my whole mission, is like, I think he saved me for a reason, and the only reason I can think of is that he keeps teaching me all these things about health. He taught me about light therapy and how amazing that was. He taught me about frequency therapy and how amazing that was. He taught me about molecular hydrogen and how awesome that is inside the body, and the nutrients that you consume becomes you, right? And then he taught me about faith, and it's about the mind body spirit connection. So I created this light code system that's light, frequency, fuel, and faith all combined is the system I developed. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I'm supposed to do, is I have to take this message out to the world and help people. And so that's literally me now, is I don't care if I don't have any money, if I'm in that just desolate. And if I can help one person, I'll be just super happy. And I believe that at the end of the day, when I do die and I meet meet God, that I want him to say, "Well done, good and faithful servant." That's the only thing that drives me now. Nothing else drives me other than that. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
sorry for the long
I
answer,
mean,
but
it
that
no. That's it's great context. I mean, I'm just imagining like, okay, so you could have gotten it, so that could go either way. When you were younger and you got it checked out, you could have gotten your pacemaker. You might really never have noticed the ankle issue and maybe not gone and gotten that looked at, and then cancer would have
right.
got you. Or if you had
Yep.
done it, right whenever you found out about the cancer, you and got that fixed, then you may never have realized all the issues that were going on with your mouth and gotten those fixed. And so like
Right.
it's almost like it had to happen in that order and in that sequence for you
It's crazy, isn't
to
it?
be
It's like
here.
it,
And yeah, it really is.
there's so many things about that. That's why
Mhm.
I'm obviously I'm a big believer in God, right? I believe that without a shadow of a doubt in my
Yeah.
mind, right? And there's so many things that have happened in my life. I look back at my life, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can see how he literally orchestrated everything in my life. Not my
Mhm.
plan. I didn't plan to get hit by a 4x4 truck in the middle of the winter in
Yeah.
Utah, right? But that was his plan. His plan was for me to do that. And okay, now I've trained you to do this. Great. Now I want to train you to do this. And he sent me into the
Mhm.
corporate world where I learned a ton, right? Learned a ton about communication skills. I learned a ton about how to be in front of a group of people and not be afraid to talk and be able to communicate and be able to take complex topics and be able to communicate to them. And then it's like, okay, boom, you're done with that. You've passed that test. Now go learn about health, right? And then he sent me down this whole world about, oh my gosh, our world is upside down. I didn't know it was so upside down, and there's so many things that are corrupt that I didn't understand were corrupt. And it's like, wow, I got really, really pissed off, to be honest, because I was like, how is
Yeah.
our world so different than what I thought it was? For 50 years of my
Mhm.
life, I just went down this path, And wow, then when I woke up to what's reality of what's going on in the world, once you see it, you can't unsee it, and that just changed my entire passion. It's like, okay, I used to be passionate about sports. I used to be passionate about gaming. I used to be passionate about my job, and everything just like switched. I was like, okay, now I'm passionate about research. I'm passionate about health. I'm passionate about health care. How do we help people? It's like, what do I do? And he kept leading me to was like, oh, wow, I'm going to teach you about nutrition. I'm going to teach you about frequency
Mhm.
medicine. When I first learned about frequency medicine, I thought it was absolutely nuts. I was like, you kidding me, right? You're going to get this. When he introduced me to this practitioner, the Lord did. I said, through my circumstances, I was looking at how to build supplements for people. And because knew nutrition was really important. That was during the vitamin D research,
Mhm.
right? I'm like, how can I create some supplements to keep my family safe during this period? And then he introduced me to this mad scientist who'd been working on these frequency products. And when I was first introduced to it, I was like, that sounds stupid. It's like literally a sticker. And he said it had frequencies on it, and you put it on your body, and it's supposed to help. And I was like, well, how's that? I said, what
Hmm.
kind of medicine's in it that's going to help? And he's like, there is no medicine. I'm like, well, what do you mean? I had no idea what he was talking about. And
Yeah.
so I started doing, guess what? Research, right? So I started digging in. I'm going to prove this guy's nuts. And so I started doing research on the human body. And I was like, oh my gosh, the human body is made up of energy. I had no clue, right? Even our cells, they interact with each other via vibration, and those vibrations give off a frequency. So I was like, okay, well, this frequency thing sounds weird. What are frequencies? I didn't know. I literally didn't know. I started doing research on frequencies, and I'm like, oh my gosh, frequencies are everywhere. It's like light is a frequency,
Mhm.
colors are frequency, sound is a frequency. The radio, you tune it to a frequency, and all these things. And your cell phone, right, is just uses frequencies. I'm like, okay, so frequencies aren't weird. Check that one off the box. The human body is made up of energy. And then I started doing research on how your body can have a positive and or a negative impact on your frequencies can have a positive or negative impact on the human body. When I was researching that, I'm like, whoa, hold it. So this guy's telling me he can put these little frequencies on these little crystallines on this patch, and you apply it to the body. It connects to the energy system in your body. Things, light bulbs started going on my mind. I'm like, okay, that connects, that connects, and then we started testing out that product with a community of people that my brother had, and they loved it. They was like, they one woman who couldn't move her arm for a decade up like this. She used
Mhm.
the patch, and an hour later, she came up to us at a conference. She's like, "Look," and I was like, "Well, yeah, what?" And she's like, "I haven't been able to do that for 10
No, you
years." And
don't
I'm like,
understand.
"What?" Yeah, she's like, literally, she's like, "No, you don't get it." And she told me the story. I was like, holy moly, that's amazing. So literally this by the frequency that was connected to this patch has helped her body not realize that it was in a chronic issues. At least that's the way it seemed, right, with what she was telling us. And then we had just story after story after story after story of the way it was helping people. And I was like, okay, that's cool. So we took that product
Yeah.
to market, right? And that was the first of my health experience, was learning about frequencies. And then through this whole health issue that I've gone through, I learned a lot about my latest passion is red light therapy. So literally having
Mm.
external light. One of the things that I have been very passionate about is all natural health and getting sun, vitamin D, that whole thing that got me started on the whole health journey. It was like, oh my gosh, how important just natural sunlight is to the body. I didn't know that until I researched it, and it was like the first 45 minutes of the day is called blue light. So if you get out on that blue
Mhm.
light, there's no UV rays whatsoever, and it really is very transformational for your body. So if you can get outside and get your feet on the ground and get the natural energy releases, the negative energy releases into the earth, and then the way God designed the earth, it literally recharges your energy. And then you get the sun on your body in that first 45 days, and it starts getting your body moving the right way, and then you do some breathing techniques, and it's like your life transforms if you just do that in the mornings. Anyway, I started getting into this light thing, and I'm like, wow, if the sun is that important and that valuable, then let's look at these light systems. And I started doing research on red light and then near infrared light. Near infrared light is invisible, but it goes deep into the skin and helps the mitochondria process work better. And then that's where things start getting better. They start doing, how God designed the body. God designed this incredible body to heal itself. It's like, so if you give it the right makeup and setup, you give it the right nutrients, you give it the right water, you get it the right things, then guess what? Your body will start doing what it's designed to do. So that's been super, super fun for me to put this whole concept together. Each of them in and of themselves aren't new, but combining
Mm-hmm.
them all together in the way that I've done is new, right? It's like no one, and
Yeah.
they compound. So if you do light therapy and frequency therapy, that's way more than 1+1. And then you add the molecular hydrogen to the mix, and that is compounds it even better. And then you add the whole mind, body, spirit connection thing to it, and it's just off the charts healthy. So anyway, I'm having a lot of fun helping people understand that, and I believe that's why God has
Yeah.
me here to help people do that. So
Well,
there you
I mean,
go.
that's great. And it all kind of comes back to all that research that you started to do and that switch and everything. That's really
Yeah,
neat.
hundred percent.
You talked about your career and you sound really happy just with all of the changes that you've made and where you are now. What was the hardest part though of letting go of that identity that you had spent 25 building?
Yeah, it was a huge shift because I was like, literally out every weekend with, like my job was to entertain these clients because
Yeah.
at the time I was selling multi-million-dollar solutions. So in order to sell a multi-million-dollar solution, it's not a phone call and you say, hey, Mr. Buyer, would you buy my $1 million product? It's a really long process. So you have to have multiple meetings and you have to have relationships with all these different people, and then you have to navigate those relationships, and just that enterprise sales process is very complex, it's very long, and as part of that is the skill set of just developing those relations and connections. And so you have to develop relationships with people, and so they encourage you to take them out to dinner and meet with their
Yeah.
families and take them out to
Yes.
golf, and you entertain them, but you develop these relationships, and they're deep relationships. I still have amazing relationships with a lot of my customers just because it wasn't just a transaction; it was a real relationship you're developing with these people. So
Yeah.
when that all of a sudden was gone, it was really really tough because it was like, holy smokes, that's all I've done for decades, right? What am I going to do now? And so it was a really big learning experience and a really big mentally difficult time in my life when the pandemic did hit, because that's when everybody's in isolation, right? That's when a lot of things changed. So yeah, that was probably similar time frame when I stopped drinking alcohol too, is because I was just like, all these
Mm.
changes going on in my life and nothing's going right, and the world's upside down. As I researched it, I was like, holy smokes, this is difficult. But I'm such a competitive person that I'm not going to let anybody else win. I mean, so I don't mean that in a negative way of that's just me, is like, I'm not going to let life beat me. I'm going to beat life. I'm going to
Yeah.
beat whatever it is that is doing this to me and or my situation, and I'm just going to figure out a way to make it work. And so that's what I did. I just, every time I get down into the valley, it's like, I know I'm going to figure out a way to get out of the valley. And I know everybody has
Mhm.
ups and downs, right? And it's like this last year, bar none, was by far the hardest year of my entire life, right? 58 years old now, and this last year was by far the hardest. No, there's no comparison how difficult this last year was because of all the difficulties of going through this journey. Man, it's like I have such an appreciation for anybody who has a chronic health issue and or has one of these, issues like I have with the C word. It's a really, really, really difficult process, even mentally. And so many people just check out. It's like they give up.
Yeah.
There's like, okay, I'm done. And it's like, no, don't, because you never know, right? Like literally, you could say a prayer and God could heal you just because you said a prayer, right? And it's like never give up. And then if that's the plan, that's the plan. And if you're okay with that plan, but man, what I have found is this body is so cool that there's so many things you can do to help it heal. And that's what's been super, super
Mm-hmm.
fun is I'm like, hey, I'm going to go learn about all these natural mechanisms for healing. But guess what the pacemaker taught me was modern medicine is absolutely a miracle, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
if they wouldn't have created the pacemaker, I would not be here today. If modern medicine hadn't saved me, I wouldn't be here. So I used to be really on this edge of holistic care is the only way to go. And man, now I'm definitely not that. There's so many cool things with modern medicine and modern advancements that if you have an acute problem, go get help, right? Because that's what it's designed for.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a chronic problem, that's where the holistic medicine and natural medicine and all those types of things really help a lot with the chronic, because our healthcare system's not set up for chronic disease. And it's really, really,
Right.
really, really, really bad at helping people with chronic health issues. And so, but it's amazing. You break your arm, you break your leg, you have your heart fails. It's a miracle what they can do. So I am so much more now of like, hey, and that's why I call myself a AI wellness futurist, is because it's like, I love technology. God taught me about the Commodore 64, right? And but at the beginning, I loved technology. I loved AI, and right now, I love AI because it's so interesting what it can do. But garbage in, garbage out, right? You put bad stuff
Yeah.
into AI, you're going to get garbage stuff out of AI. So you have to be really, really careful where you're getting information. And most AI systems, most of the big LLMs or whatever you want to call them, they're just a collection of all this data.
Mm-hmm.
And all that data, as I learned through this research process, a lot of that data is just bad data, really, really
Yeah.
wrong data. And so you start asking questions and it's going to tell you, hey, here's the answer. And it's definitive. Like this is the answer to that question. It's just completely wrong. And
Right.
you don't know that because you're like, oh, well, it's AI. AI knows everything. And it's like, wow, that's really bad. So I've seen both good and bad with AI of how it
Mm-hmm.
can be transformational. It can literally create a customized medicine for a dog that has cancer, and that dog gets healed because the owner researched the ways that they could create a customized medicine for that dog, and that dog ended up getting healed, and it was only because he had these tools available to him to be able to do that research, right? And it's like that is so neat. That story is awesome, right? You can create this really complex stuff that he before AI could never do that himself, right? But so there are
Mm-hmm.
advancements and really things we can do, and I believe the innovation in healthcare is going to be phenomenal, because if you do take
Yeah.
really good data, it can analyze this data in a way that no human being can analyze it, or it would take you years to analyze what AI could do in a microsecond. And so it's like it's going to just create all these huge advancements, which will be really, really transformational. And I'm really excited to see where that heads. But at the same time, I'm not going to say poor Chat GPT, but poor OpenAI is getting sued by lots of people because people have committed suicide. People have, done a
Mm-hmm.
lot of bad things because of the data that, what AI is telling them to do. And so that whole garbage in, garbage out discussion is an important conversation to have. And people need
Yeah.
to go in looking at AI with that in mind. It's like, okay, this thing isn't going to be the end all do all. It's just one of the pieces of the puzzle. So I'm passionate about that as
Yeah.
well,
Well,
as you can tell.
I think that goes back to what you're saying about research. You're talking about, I heard about this thing from this person who specializes in these frequencies, right?
Right.
You took
Yeah.
that and you said, okay, sounds weird. I'm going to do my own research. I think a lot of
Right.
people need to view AI that way. Like, sure,
Yeah.
get your direction, but then you need to research it also. If it says one thing, you need to go and find a way to verify that and not just
Yeah. Yeah. You look
as
at
this
all
is
sides.
gospel, because it's
Yep.
not. Yeah.
That's such a great,
Now,
yeah,
I
exactly.
know.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say real quick, because that's the way I look at politics too. It's like, you hear somebody on the left tell you something,
Yeah.
then you hear something from someone on the right, and they tell you something, and it's like they're total pure opposites. It's like, so how do you how do you determine what you believe in, right? So I take that
Yeah.
information from the right and the left and the middle and everywhere, and then I start cross referencing against the sources that I believe they're important. Like, one of mine is the Bible, right? So it's like I cross reference everything that I do. One of the sources is the Bible. What does the Bible say about this particular topic? And then that's not saying that everything is right or wrong based upon what the Bible says, but that is one of my sources of truth, right? I'll take it against that.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to find your sources of truth, what those are,
Mm-hmm.
and then just evaluate all sides of an argument and then make up your mind. Don't let your daughter, your mother, your friend, your social media feed, don't let those things decide for you. Start making your up.
Yeah. Yeah. And just do the research, look into it, whether that's
Yeah,
something
do
from
the
AI or
research.
something that a friend says or whatever. Get a little curious and find another source and see if you can
That's right.
either confirm or deny it. But you talked about a little bit about the chronic pain and that chronic illness and the emotional weight of that. And I know there's often a lot of grief that comes with chronic pain, and even with healing from something that was acute that you then went through. Was there a point where you had to accept that healing might not look like going back and getting you exactly to where you were before, but it might look more transformational than that?
Yeah, that's a good conversation. I love your your cat.
I know, he's
Pain.
just right in my face.
I love it. I love it. Pain has been really intriguing for me because I
Yeah.
had a podcast. My podcast now is called Biohackingville because I like to talk about all things biohacking. But for a year plus, I had a podcast that was called I Am Pain Free, and so I met with a lot of holistic doctors talking about how they help people with pain. Because one of the things I found was during my research that I love to do is the average senior, over 50% of our seniors have some type of chronic pain. And that's like, I was like, that's
Yeah.
horrible. That's like half of our seniors are in pain. It's like, that's no fun way to live. And then I started doing research on the pharmaceutical medicines that they take. It's like the average senior is taking 15 different prescription medications in a year. It's like, what? How is that possible? 15? And then as I learned, all these prescription drugs, you watch any commercial on TV, right, with any of the prescriptions, and the
Oh,
last
yeah.
30 seconds are like, oh, yeah, you can die, lose a limb, you could, you hear all these things. You're like, why would anybody ever take that, right? Because every single drug, no matter what it is, has a side effect, and then it
Mm-hmm.
compounds on top of that. So if you're taking 15 of them, you're in big trouble because your body doesn't know what's way is up. And so that really frustrated me too. So I was just like, how can we help people get off of pain meds, and how can we help them live a more normal life? And so that's what I spent a year on, is just researching that, and how do we help people do it
Mm-hmm.
naturally? How do we get them off of pharmaceutical drugs? And so that I learned a lot through that process. And then when I end up having all these health issues, pain was really bad, and with portions of my health, with my lymph nodes being plugged up, I ended up getting my whole right leg swelled in a really big way. So my right leg was about twice as big as my left leg, and I had to
Wow.
walk around on a scooter because I couldn't couldn't move. I couldn't walk normally, and my wife would have to wrap my leg every single day to
Mm.
keep the compression down to where my at least had some movement, and it was brutal. It was like, wow, am I gonna have to live like this the rest of my life? Am I gonna be in a wheelchair? You start mentally going down these negative rabbit holes, and those are difficult, right? So I have like I was telling you
Yeah.
earlier, I have such empathy for people that are going through these major health crises and issues because it is really, really hard. Now I know it like, intimately because I've been there, and I've been to the lowest you could possibly be, right on the table with my heart not operating, to where now I am healing, and God has done some really amazing things and brought these healers into my life and these technologies into my life. It's like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely incredible. Now I'm running 4 miles with my wife, and I'm biked 8 miles yesterday on my bike, and it's like things I can't imagine doing when just 6 months ago when my leg was so big it looked like a balloon, right? So I just want other people to be able to, I believe my life goal is to just help people with that health journey and let them know it's okay,
Yeah.
right? That you're in the valley right now, but guess what? God designed this body super cool. And if we start getting to the right things, right setup, then it can start healing itself. And like you mentioned, the just mental health part of that is really, really, really important. You have to give people hope. People need hope when they're going through these tragic health issues because a lot of people just lose that hope. And then once you lose the hope,
Hmm.
then there is no healing because they just give up. It's just tragic, and I don't wanna see that. I don't wanna see anybody that just goes through that part of their life, and I wanna give them hope. I wanna like, if you woke up today and you have breath in your lungs, God has a plan for your life. You're still here. So use that, right? And maybe it's you need to go call a friend, right? Maybe you need to go call the person that you thought about but you didn't act upon, and you maybe go need to see your neighbor. Whatever. There's things that you can do that are going to have an impact on this world. So no matter how small they are, just know that God does have a plan for your life. And so I want to give people hope. Hope is such an important thing, and it does help that glass half full versus glass half empty mental part of your life is when you have hope.
Hmm.
It's like that's the thing that people are trying, the evil people of the world, they try to crush hope. They don't want you to know that you have hope. Because if you have hope, then there's nothing that can stop you. So I want to give people that hope.
Yeah. I mean, it's very clear just from speaking with you that faith is a huge, huge piece of the way that you live, and it's been a huge piece of your recovery. And you've talked about that being part of your treatment that you're really trying to provide to people. So, for someone
Right.
who maybe isn't religious already, if they don't already have that faith base, how do you
Yeah.
describe that spiritual piece of healing in a way that they can connect to? And then is it one specific religion, or is it just that connection to a higher power that you're really looking at?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. I'll answer it as I always do. Is I'm very transparent, right? So I'll answer it as honestly as I can. But to answer the question from a if you're not faith based, that's okay, right? It doesn't. I mean, you don't
Hmm.
need to have faith in God in order to have a mind that says I can get healthy. I do have breath in my lungs
Hmm.
today. Maybe I should be doing something. So
Yeah.
you don't have to have the faith that I have to understand that this body that we only have one of them. And so you have to take care of this body. You don't have to have the faith that I have in order to really understand that, man, you can do amazing things to this body if you do the right things. And so all my health topics and the things that I do don't have to have the faith component of what I talk about. But everything else I'm talking about is going to help you regardless of that. So I want to make sure people understand that. It's like
Yeah.
because I have this mind body spirit connection component to what I do, I think is very important. And if you want to talk about that, I can definitely talk about that. But if you don't, it's okay, and it's fine. But
Mhm.
I do want you to understand, regardless of your faith, is the power of this thing, the power of your brain. Your mind is so important that and I want you to understand, you can go do research on the power of the mind, and it's unbelievable when you start researching it. Your mind can physically control your body. And you're like, oh, come on, give me a
Mhm.
break. That cannot be true. I promise you. Don't believe me, like I told you earlier. Don't believe me about anything. But if you want to, there's research that you can go look at that will blow your mind away, because it's like, holy smokes, that is absolutely incredible that can happen. And if that happens and this happens, and then you start looking at the research, and it's just undeniable that no one will ever convince me that your mind can't control your body, because I know it. Right? There's too much research and too much verifiable information out there that it's proven that it will and does and can. And so you don't need a religion for that, right? Your mind
Yeah.
is very, very powerful. Where you got that mind, I think God gave it to you, right? So that's my opinion, but you don't have to have my opinion to know that your mind is still super, super powerful. So that's the way I look at it. I am my faith component really became important to me. I was a Christian my entire life, but I
Mhm.
was a Christian in name only, in the respect that I would go to church on Sunday, and as soon as the door hit me in the butt, I didn't think about church until the next Sunday. And I'd sit in the service, I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is, worship's great and the message is good. But then I never acted on it after the door hit me in the butt. And what I realized during when the pandemic hit, and I started doing the research on all this all natural health stuff, I also went, what about this Bible thing? Right? It's like, let me, I not sure if this thing is real. And how do I, during this research process, learned a lot about how to research things. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to do the same with the Bible. So I did what's called the TAP method. You looked at the textual criticism of the Bible. How accurate is the text? And then you go look at how verifiable that is. And there's some really incredible research related to that. Like, okay, this thing is very verified and verifiable with all of the scrolls and the Dead Sea Scrolls and other things that have come about, and you understand. And then you look at the archaeological evidence of the Bible, and you start researching the archaeological evidence of the Bible, and after a long time, you do the research, you're like, holy smokes, that's absolutely incredible. There's a lot of really amazing evidence from an archaeological perspective. And that's so you combine the two, and it's like, wow, really amazing. Then you look at the prophetic evidence of the Bible, which is the P part of the TAP method. And you look at all the prophecies that were talked about in the Bible and how they were actually fulfilled in the Bible. And it's just like, you go through that process. You're like, in my mind, I was like, okay, that's the most verified piece of document ever in existence, is the Bible. So I said, if it's the most verified document ever in existence, maybe I should read it. So I literally, for the first time, read the Bible from cover to cover, and then I've been studying the Bible in depth for the last 5 years, and it's just, it's something you can study for 30 years and still not understand all of it. But so
Yeah.
that's what transformed me, was just the TAP method. It was like, okay, is this thing real? And that's when I really developed a relationship with God, was during that period. And now I believe I have a direct relationship with. I don't need to have a building to go to worship, and I do go to a building, but I don't have to have that. That's not that's a religion, and I don't believe in a religion. I believe in a relationship that you and I and
Mhm.
everybody else can have a personal relationship with God, and that's what's more important. It's not what I call my religion, or it's just, do you have a personal relationship with God? That's the thing that's important. So that's my
Yeah.
faith discussion.
I like the frame. I like the framing of it's not the religion, it's the relationship. I think that probably
Yeah.
will speak to a lot of folks who are a little bit disenchanted with religion in particular
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because
for various reasons. That could happen
there's
for lots of different reasons, but you can still
there's
have that
lots of
relationship
reasons,
without
and
religion.
I'm empathetic to those. I understand, right? There's lots of reasons why
Hmm.
people are not happy with religion, and it's
Yeah.
unfortunate, right? Because but you shouldn't judge religion based upon other people, right? And because just because other
Yeah.
people act a certain way or they're hypocrites, and there's this and there's that, and this pastor, did bad things to people, and this pastor, it's like there's bad in everything. There's good and evil in everything. So you just can't look at it like that, right? And that's why I think it's so much
Yeah.
easier to say, hey, do you have a relationship with God? That's the thing. If you have a relationship, then none of the other stuff really matters. So
Hmm. Yeah. And I want to go back a little bit to what you said about the mind's impact on the body. Is there one
yeah.
particular study that jumps out to you that you're like, wow, I read this and I did not realize that your mind could really do that much if you put it to it? Was there one study that really opened your eyes to that?
It's not, because there were so many of them. It's like, and I couldn't
Yeah.
pick out the one that was like, "Oh my gosh, that was the one." But, it was just the overwhelming evidence
Mm.
after researching it, like, "Holy moly." And I can't remember, I've read multiple books too about it. So there's, like, lots of books related to the mind, and how incredibly powerful the mind is, and it's like, and then you literally dig into the science of it, and it's like, uh, in the mind one is, probably older than a lot of the other ones for me, because I that was one of the early ones that started doing research on. So it just does nothing's coming to the top of my mind of like, oh yeah, it was that.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what, like, the frequency one was Dr. Emoto and some of his studies. That was the thing that, like, really brought me over the edge on the frequency one, because I didn't believe at all about frequencies. And then I started looking into Dr. Emoto's. I read his book. It's called The Hidden Messages in Water. So this book, um, Hidden Messages in Water by Dr. Matsumoto. And it's just, when you start looking at it, and you see some of the pictures of these crystals that he has in his book, and then you read about how he literally freezes these crystals pre and post actions that happen to the water. And so those actions can be, literally intentions, they can be prayers,
Hmm.
they can be lots of different things that affect the water. And I was like, give me a break. Yeah, that can't happen. But then you start reading this and researching it, and you're like, whoa, that's interesting. And then the one I love about his studies was, the rice experiment. He did this rice experiment that's absolutely cool, because there's lots of other people who've replicated it. So it's not just his study, but it's fun. He did this study for 30 days. He had 3 jars of rice, and they had them in water, right? So just all three white rices in these jars. And then he did 3 different things to them. The one jar he swore at and he hated. He would, like, I swear at it and call it names and say, I hate you. Middle jar, or the second jar, he would say, I love you. And I want to take care of you. I want the best for you. Be good intentions towards the second one. And then the third one, he would just totally ignore. What was fascinating is, after 30 days, you look at those 3 jars and they're drastically different. The one that he swore at and had bad intentions towards was disgustingly gross and moldy. And then the one that he
Wow.
cared for and loved, it actually was white, and it was a little murky because it had been in water for 30 days. But then you look at the one that he ignored, it, and it was almost as bad as the one that he had spoke bad intentions towards. And you're like, holy, that's fascinating. And then you start researching it and reading how lots of other people have replicated that experiment. It's like, whoa, that's wild, that you're literally your interactions and your intentions towards something can physically have an impact on something else. And then you start reading and learning about the body, and how just your intentions towards your plants, right? There's lots of people in gardening, who talk about taking care of your plants and talking good to your plants. And you know, few years ago, I'd say you're absolutely nuts talking to your plants, right? Like, why why are you talking to your plants? Are you nuts? Right? But it now after researching all this, it's like, I walked by my wife's plants. I'm like, oh man, you look beautiful today. It's like but it's incredible when you start putting those pieces together, how real it is. And so the mind, the scientific part of that is like because I didn't believe any of that stuff early on, right? And then as I dug
Yeah.
into the research and you start looking at them, it's like that is just absolutely amazing that you can do that. So it's out there. There's lots of books and lots of studies. There's actually thousands of them now. So there's not
Yeah.
just one that's like the one that threw me over the fence because there's just too many. It's overwhelming.
Yeah. It's interesting that you bring up kind of the mind and how it can control what happens in your body too, because just last week we had a guest who brought up there's a study it was strength building, and so they had a control group who did nothing different. They had a group who went and actually lifted weights, and then they had a group who would close their eyes and visualize that they went and lifted weights. Obviously the most muscle gain was in the group that was actually lifting the weights, but the interesting part to me was the difference between the control group and the group who just that is my mouth you're putting your paw on. The group who just visualized the going. And of course, they give them specific instructions on how to do these visualizations and everything too. But they actually had muscle gain compared to the control
Right.
group. And it's like they didn't
Yeah,
actually go and do the physical thing. But if you're visualizing it in the right way, your mind can't tell the difference between
that's
going
right.
and doing it. And so if you're putting these things out there, I thought that one was really fascinating. And it's funny to me whenever things come up, they come up one week and then they come up the next week too. And I'm like, okay, I need to really look into that one then.
Yeah, yeah. That's been my life for the last 7, years
Yeah.
since the pandemic. It's just like, since I start researching something, I'm like, "No, that can't be," and then I hear
Yeah.
it from somebody else, I'm like, well, maybe, then I start digging into it, and then it's like, wow, it's the world that we live in is so different than what I thought it was, and the
Yeah.
how our money system is controlled and our information system is controlled. That's probably the thing that was the most depressing for me was me being in the United States of America. Right, I wanted to run, I wanted to be an athlete for the USA team. When I was in college, I made
Mhm.
the US junior team, so I got to wear the USA insignia on my jersey, and I won an international race against other countries. And I'm just very proud of our country, and I love our country. And so then, as I found out about how our information is controlled and how our healthcare system was taken over and modified from what the original intentions are, just like really depressed me because I was like, how do I
Yeah.
live 50 years of my life and not know that this stuff is going on? And it's just fascinating. Once you start seeing those things, you can't unsee it and you know what's happens. And then
Mhm.
you look at how people act on social media and how people argue with one side and the other. And it's fascinating because you can see how the information is controlled and disseminated out to all these different areas. And why people are so one way or the other, right? Because the information that they're getting is all related to that belief that they believe
Yeah.
in, and all the information they get just supports it, right? And then these
Mhm.
guys on the other side are the same way. They start getting this information, so the system's feeding them everything about what they believe in, and then they both fight, right? Like,
Yeah.
'cause I believe this and I believe this, and it's just totally fascinating to me. So politics and right versus left and those types of things are just a totally bizarre to me, amazing that our information system is so controlled that they control an agenda that you can't change because there's like 6 companies that own thousands of the media organizations, and
Yeah.
anyway, it's Project Mockingbird is something that if you want to do research on that. When I started researching that, I was like, holy smokes, the world is different than I thought it was. Literally, recently, um, it was confirmed about Project Mockingbird that was, still in place relatively recently, and you see how our information system is so controlled. And when we, as even in the United States, we go to take over another country, there's literally a whole methodology to how to take over a particular country and how to infiltrate it and how to get the minds to believe what you want them to believe. And it's very, very in depth and very complicated. And you look, then you see how it's done to us, and it's like, wow, it's just, you can't unsee things like that once you understand that that's how things operate. So
Yeah.
that's to me, I think we're in a really big good versus evil fight in this world. It's not right versus left anymore. I really honestly believe it's a good versus evil fight. You look at the Bible and the biblical implications of good versus evil in the Bible, and that's what I see is happening in the world, not necessarily race or religion or we're all children of God, regardless of what color you are, what race you are, what sex you are. We're all the same, right? We're all children of God, so we should literally love each other, right? There should be no difference between any race or religion or color, and we should be working together, not dividing. But they don't want us together; they want us divided because when they're divided, they can't control things. But if we're together and we all come together, no one can stop us, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway, talk about some
Well,
deep stuff that I don't think I would ever talk about.
I will provide everyone just a little bit of encouragement, because if you're noticing that your algorithm is really giving you just one thing, and I saw this especially whenever Twitter changed hands, everyone was saying, oh, suddenly it's such a negative place. And I'm on Twitter and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Twitter is still my normal positive place for me. I don't understand what's going on. Go interact with some of the content that you want to see. Go interact with some of the content that you're like, why do I never see this point of view? Even if it's not something that you want to see, go interact with the opposite of what you're normally getting. If your feed is full of trash, go interact with some treasure. And just that tells, because the algorithm is controlled by social media companies, and their whole goal is to get you to stay on that platform. And if they can figure out a way to give you what they think you want, they'll give you more of that. And so what you're interacting with is really what drives what you're seeing. And so make sure that you just go pick something positive. Go pick something good to interact with. Go pick 5 new things that you haven't had on your feed in a while. Go interact with them. And that's one of the things that I say, if you have a creator that you haven't seen for a while on something like TikTok, go look up that creator manually, like a couple other things, and then they'll start showing up more. And so you still are, you don't have all the control. You have some level of control though. And so you can go and you can help make sure that social media billion-dollar team understands what you're trying to see whenever you're on their platform. So you can do a little bit of effort,
Very good point.
and then maybe
Very
get
good point.
something a little more
Yep.
positive.
Yeah. Start
So at the
searching for
outset of this,
stuff, right? Yep.
yeah,
I
exactly,
love that.
exactly.
Yeah.
Go try and find what you're trying to see, and then you'll get
Yeah.
there. So at the outset of this, you had already had this career, and I know you said you lost your job, but you did have some resources and you did have a career and you did kind of have a start at the outset. And whenever you're trying to switch into this, how does your journey translate to someone who doesn't have those advantages necessarily?
Well, the great thing about the world we live in today is that, information is almost free, right? I mean, you can go to the library and you can get access to a computer and you can get information. But what's so fascinating about the world we live in today is if you want to become an expert in any topic, you don't need money to become an expert in any topic anymore. And so that's what it used to be, where you'd have to go to school, right? You'd have to go to college. You'd have to go buy this course. You have to be part of this mastermind. You could only get information by if you had money and resources, and the internet and AI and things have taken those restrictions away. And so literally there's nothing holding you back other than yourself. If you want to be something, you can be something. And it's just a matter of you understanding that and then saying, what can I do about that? And then, there is going to be a big shift with AI in the next decade, with people being out of jobs because AI is automated a lot of what they used to be able to do, or at least used to do. So people are going to need to and they're going to need to understand how to utilize these AI technologies to help other people. And that's a skill set that you can go learn. You can just literally go to the library, you get the free access to the computers, and you can start researching topics and things and learn things. There's so much. YouTube is just like, there's so much free information out there on how to do things, that if you want to learn a topic, there's somebody out there who's done a master class on that topic that would be like a doctorate degree that you would get through college that would take you 10 years to get. You can get that same level of education in a really short period of time through our systems today. So that's why I just want to encourage people. It's like, you're never too late. You're never too resource poor, because it's all there. It's just, are you going to take the initiative to go do it? Right. And you can take the initiative to do it. You can get the bus to the library, right? You can ask a neighbor to take you to the library. So it's just like, there's no excuse anymore, in my opinion, that you have to have resources to do something or become something. If you want to become something, you can become something. It's in your mind, and it's believing that you can, and the resources are out there. You just have to go look for them, and then find them, and then learn them, and then you start learning how you can utilize that information to help somebody. All right, because if you start helping other people with that information, then it's going to come back to you, and they're going to just like, wow, this person really helped me with that. That was something I was struggling with. And then it's just, your life's going to start improving, and things are going to start getting better. So yeah, that's the way I look at the big difference in society, the haves and the have-nots. And I think now, man, it's like, the have-nots, the only reason you have not is because you aren't taking the initiative to go have. You can go have. It just might take you a while, but you still have this brain that that person that over there that you think is Mr. Successful probably has 10 times more problems than you have, and has 10 more issues. And maybe he has a health issue that you don't have, and he's going to not be around in another year. And you have the opportunity that you don't have that health issue. So you're way better off than that person. You just don't know it. So anyway, I just want to give people encouragement that you can become anything you want to nowadays with the world that we have. So I love that about our world and right now, is that, man, if I want to become an expert underwater basket weaver, I can become an expert underwater basket weaver, just because it's out there. The information's there if I want to go learn how to do that. So it's just you're limitless right now. It's like, wow, just think about being that superhero, putting that superhero jacket on. You can be a superhero. You can be whatever you want to be if you just take the initiative and then believe in yourself, and then just start working towards that, and you can become anything you want. And I honestly believe that's true these days, where when I was growing up, you couldn't do that. You didn't have the access, you didn't have the technology, you didn't have the information, and all that's been wiped away. But people's mentality in their mind is, it's still stuck. It's still, I can't do that. I don't have that. They have that. I don't have that. It's like, no, 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 no. You do. Just find a way to go learn it. Trying to find go do something that's going to help somebody else. And when you start helping somebody else, it's a snowball effect. And when you start helping other people, then other people want to help you, and then other people want to help them, and it just becomes this thing. And I believe God really will bless you, because you're doing God's work, and when you do God's work, He's going to bless you. So that's the way I look at life now.
I love the plug for libraries. I think libraries are great, and they really have a lot more resources than people even realize. I was explaining to my kids that, hey, you've got a library card. You can go rent a video game for one of our systems. And it's not even like renting. You just check it out. You've already got the card. You can go get it. I have unfortunately lived recently, within the past 6 years, somewhere where I didn't have a public library in my city. I also didn't have public transportation. And had I not had the internet and had I not had a car, like those still are very real challenges. And so I just want to say to anyone who's listening, if you're hearing this and you're like, actually, I still don't have access to that. I get it. I get it. And it does exist. And it really sucks sometimes to be in a situation where you're like, they're saying everyone has access and I still don't have the access. But I also want to recognize that one of the bigger barriers besides just, oh, go to the library, besides get public transport, get a ride, get all this, is time. Like that's one of the biggest things that if you're a single mom with kids and your only spare moment in the day is at 10 p.m., which is also where I was not very long ago. Like I understand. And that's a real challenge. Of course, there are ways around it. We've had entire conversations. We've had whole conversations around that before with just how do you face in the face of poverty, in the face of time poverty, in the face of all these other things, how do you overcome? We've had entire podcast episodes on just that. So I would encourage you to go and listen to those, and hopefully there's some tips in there for you. But yeah, I think that there's so much more access to information now. There's so much more. You're right. If you want to become an expert in underwater basket weaving, you can do that because you can go to something like a public pool and you can practice, or you can get the information on YouTube. There's all kinds of videos, and the amount of information that's out there is absolutely wild. It's up to you to verify it. It's up to you to put it into practice, but there's so much information out there, and you can go find all kinds of things that even 15 years ago, we would have been like, what do you mean? Just go look this up. That's not on the internet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. So let people know that God gave them a brain that is amazing, right? This brain is so fascinating, and it can learn unbelievable things. So just because you didn't learn it in the past, or something was struggling with you in the past, it doesn't mean it will be tomorrow. So just give people that hope, right? I want to give people hope and encouragement that, man,
100%.
life can be amazing. Yes, you might be going through the valley right now. And through the valley, then I empathize with you. I get it. I understand it. I have the hardest year of my life, and but I'm looking so forward to what life has in store for me, because I believe I have breath in my lungs today, and that God has a plan for my life. And if He has a plan for my life, then I want to go help somebody. If I can help somebody, if this has encouraged anybody today, I'm so excited. Right, this is my whole prayer before this. Can I reach one person? Can I help one person that's struggling and or has a problem and or just like says, oh man, I feel so much better because I do have breath in my lungs today. God has a plan for my life, and if He does have a plan for my life, I'm gonna make something of it. And then tomorrow when I wake up, I'm gonna go, do the healthy things that Rob said to do, because I love to give people 7 health tips that are just free. If you do these 7 things, then the body's gonna start feeling better, and you're gonna feel better. And it's like, wow, compounding on top of each other. And then you start saying, man, this guy is not as crazy as I thought he was. And then you start looking into the light code system. How can red light therapy help you? How can frequency therapy help you? How can hydrogen help you? And then how can the mind, body, spirit, the connection help you? But anyway, these 7 things are fun. They're simple, they're quick, they're easy. The first one is the thing that we talked about earlier, right? Hydration, right? You need water. Most people do not get enough water. And so I'm about 200 pounds. And so with my body weight, I need about 100 ounces of water. So just do that calculation in your mind, that whatever, your body weight is, take half of that and get that many of ounces of water in a day. Your body needs it. And most people are dehydrated. They don't realize it. And so that's important. Then and typically it's free. Well, you should drink filtered water if you can, because there's a lot of crap in our standard tap water. Then the other things, the next thing I do, I start off my day with gratitude, right? So when I wake up, I say a prayer, and I do things I'm thankful for, because when you get that positive mindset right off the bat, then your day is just better, right? If you get up and you just immediately grab your phone and you doom scroll, there you go. You're already starting the downward spiral. So don't get your phone yet. Start just giving gratitude. Hey, thanks for the air in my lungs today. I'm excited, and gosh, I'm sure glad that I have a brother or a sister or a mom or a dad or a neighbor, I have a cat, I have this new mug that I was able to get, or, I'm thankful for the bed that I was able to sleep in that other people don't have a bed to sleep in, right? Just you can be thankful for little teeny things. So that that's free. Just go do that. But then the next three are simple. They're outside typically is you take your socks and shoes off and you ground on God's given earth. I didn't believe in grounding at all. When my wife told me about grounding, I thought she was nuts. I'm like, come on, give me a break, because I have really sensitive feet. So I didn't want to have my feet on the grass. And then I learned about how amazing grounding is when it literally just charges the negative energy in your body and then it recharges it with positive energy. And you start researching that, you're like, oh, wow, okay, that's something smart I should do. I can sell you a $5,000 grounding mat that you can put on your desk or underneath your desk, and you can put your feet on that $5,000 grounding mat, or you can do it for free. Just go outside, take your socks and shoes off, and it does the exact same thing as that $5,000 mat does. So, geez, go do that. And then I always combine when I'm outside grounding. I get that first 45 minutes of that sun on the body. Beautiful blue light that just is very, very beneficial for your whole body. That vitamin D, and then if you do these breathing techniques, you have to breathe, right? In order to survive, you have to breathe. But the cool thing is if you do these breathing techniques in a particular pattern, then you just inundate your body with oxygen. And it's just like you get so much energy because you're just like, holy smokes, your body literally, when they teach you at first these breathing techniques, they want you to sit down, because if you're standing up and you do these breathing techniques, you get such an influx of oxygen that you can pass out and then you could fall and hurt yourself. But it's really simple. You do these breathing techniques. You just look up Wim Hof, WIMHOFF. He's got these really simple breathing techniques that take you breathe. You inhale, you hold it for a few seconds, then you exhale, and you do that on a particular program that's super simple, and you do that for 7 minutes, and it's literally the scientifically, they say that you can add 7 years to your life if you do these breathing techniques every day.
Wow.
So why would you not spend 7 minutes and do some breathing to get just get a lot of oxygen inside the body, and then when you have all this oxygen, it gives you energy. So it's like you feel better, your body works better, and it's free. So do that. So those are simple and easy to do, and then the other ones are also relatively easy. One is movement, right? You need to move, you need to walk, and so the 10,000 steps is a thing. It doesn't matter how many. I just think you just need to do it. You need to move. You need to get your body going. So even if it's just taking a couple of times throughout the day, one of the things that I found really beneficial is after you eat. After you eat, if you go do a short 15-minute walk, it really helps your digestive system in a major way,
Hmm.
and it helps the nutrients absorb into the body. So just do a short walk after you eat, and that helps. But if you get 10,000 steps in a day, your body's gonna start functioning better. Walking is relatively, most people can walk, and most people can do that. So it's simple. And the other components are just the sleep, right? Getting good sleep is important. So get rid of your phone an hour or two before you go to bed. Start getting the lights turned off and get the blue lights away from your face for the last hour or two before you go to bed, and have a routine. And when you get that routine, you start sleeping a lot better. And then you
Hmm.
start getting deep sleep, and literally sleep is where your whole body recovers. So when you start researching the human body, that's where your body is literally repairing itself. It's while you're sleeping. So sleep is super duper important part of the whole health system in your body. So those are typically the things I like to tell people are those. And some little tips that I always like to tell people is in the water that you are drinking, drip some lemon in the water, which is really good. But then also Celtic salt is actually very, very helpful. Your body needs 96 nutrients in a day, and
Hmm.
most people are not getting 96 nutrients, especially with how our food is compromised with all the ultra processed foods that people are eating. This is really, really bad, and the seed oils that are really bad in our food. But this Celtic salt has lots and lots of minerals in it, so you can drop some of that Celtic salt into your water and or just even on your tongue, and it really helps your body absorb nutrients that you wouldn't normally get. And it's something super inexpensive you can do, and something that is really beneficial to the body. So I could keep going on because I'm a geek about the biohacking tips and tricks, but it's like those are all things that are relatively free, right? So I mean, you
Yeah.
start doing those, and then you're like, wow, this body's fun. It's amazing. Then, get into red light therapy and digging into how near infrared light goes deep into the skin and helps build the collagen in the face and helps get rid of wrinkles, and it helps just build up your face, and it just starts helping repair things inside the body. And man, I could just keep going on. It's so much fun to see how you can transform this thing that God gave us, this what I call the temple. Man, you can really do amazing things. I'm a better even though I've had the worst year from a health perspective in my entire life, I right now am in part of the best shape of my life. I'm like the most lean I've ever been because I'm eating ridiculously clean. I'm doing that on purpose, right? Because of my battle, making sure that I don't feed
Hmm.
the big C word, and I've learned exactly how to starve it. And that's been fascinating too. So I can go into integrative oncology really, really deep with people that want to understand how they can help their bodies transform from a producer of C to a fighter of C. That is very, very important. And I'm so blessed that I've been able to change my body from a producer of bad cells in my body to a fighter of bad cells in my body. So my immune system is super strong, and my tumors have shrunk over 50%. And I've gotten
Wow.
my leg back, and I'm exercising again, and I'm eating really well, and I'm getting the right nutrients, and I'm getting some amazing advanced treatments, and I'm learning about some alternating frequency therapies. That's just like, wow, so many good things are going to happen in the next few years with health in general. That's going to be transformative our world. So a lot of the issues that have been chronic, and a lot of things that people have passed away from, we're gonna solve a lot of those problems in the next few years. That's gonna be super exciting to see, because you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, a lot of these issues and problems that big pharma has been able to continue to make a lot of money from, are going to go away, because people are going to get healed because of the new advancements that are happening. So I'm super excited about that.
I hope you're right. I hope that would be just really absolutely lovely for
Yeah,
sure.
that would be fun, wouldn't it? It would be really, really
It
fun.
would.
So that's what I'm praying for. But I am seeing some
I like it.
amazing technologies. I getting this treatment down in Mexico. They created a customized solution for my particular tumor. So they literally
Hmm.
took my tumor, and they did a genetic breakdown of my tumor, and then they took my white blood cells, and the little dendritic cells are called, the little T cells in your body that are the fighters, and they trained my white blood cells over a 6-week period how to fight my specific genetic tumor. And then they
Hmm.
created a solution for me that they put back into me, that then my own body is fighting my own cancer. This is like,
Oh, wow.
right? It's like so cool, the things that they're doing in advance. And I believe that personalized healthcare is going to be just off the charts fun, because you're going to take you the way, if you have a health issue and I have the same health issue, the reason you got it and the reason I got it are different. And the reason how
Hmm.
our bodies actually are made up and how our bodies fight that same thing is different. And most people don't understand that. And so the way that you treat it should be different than the way you treat it. And that's
Right.
what's going to be fascinating, is with personalized healthcare um, solutions. You're going to be able to customize the solution that's going to help you, not help Amber or Fred or Sally. If they do the exact same thing, it might not help them because they don't have the same body that you have. And
Hmm.
so anyway, that's going to be super fun too, seeing those advancements, and those are coming. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. It'll be neat to see how that unfolds for sure. for someone who's right in the middle of it right now, whether that's chronic pain or mental exhaustion or they're fighting cancer themselves and maybe they feel like they're not getting better, what's the one thing you would say to them today?
Don't give up. There's no reason to give up. The valley is a valley, and the valley sucks. And I know it. I empathize with you. I understand it, and I'm there with you. My hand is stretched out to you to hold your hand and get you up off of the ground. And let's start going up the hill because you can do it, and you can get past this valley. God has a plan for your life. You're breathing today, so that's amazing. So just say, "Wow, what? Okay, yes, He has a plan. Maybe He does have a plan for me. So maybe what is it, right? And then how can you go help someone else, and you start living outside of yourself, and it's like amazing when all of a sudden you can look at other people and say, oh my gosh, those people have problems, those people have issues, and it's like, how can I help them? And then it all of a sudden becomes, when you start looking at other people and their issues and how you can help them, it doesn't all just become this overall encompassing me, woe is everything, woe is bad, you get this glass half negative, this feelings. Just, you can break through all of that. You can break through it. You can have hope. And I want to encourage you that you can get well, that God has a plan for your life. So just go start doing positive things and start thinking about other people and have gratitude for the small things, even the smallest things. Say, gosh, God, thank you for giving me fingernails. Thank you for giving me a thumb that I can actually pick up something, right? Whereas my dog, he can't pick up anything. He doesn't have a thumb. So it's just like, be thankful for the little teeny things. And then when you start being thankful for those, your mindset gets better, and you start feeling a little better. You wake up a little bit more happy, and then you go to bed happier. Of course you have ups and downs. I get it, but I just want to encourage you. Don't give up. There's no reason to give up. There is hope. Have hope, and God has a plan for your life, and God is good. And so I invite you to go try to find the story. Right? Could it be true? Go investigate it for yourself. I'm not going to tell you one way or another. I believe, because that's the research I did was undeniable to myself, but everybody, I think, can have that same thing. Go investigate it for yourself, right? I took a world religions class in college that was fascinating, right? It's amazing to see all the religions in the world and all the different belief systems that people have, and it's cool. It's really fun to see all of those. All right, so it was fun for me to finally just sit down and say, let me look at all these things, and why would I believe in something, and what is it that I believe in? As I dug into the Bible and did that tap method, that was the thing that took it over the edge for me. It's like, okay, I get it. So I invite
Yeah.
anybody
Yeah.
can do that same research, right? There's no reason not to. It's the most verified document in existence over any other antiquity. There's nothing else that even comes close to the verified document. So maybe you should go read it. That's how I encourage people to.
Yeah. Well, Bite Mark would like to know, what is your favorite poem? And I
What is
happen
my
to know that she also accepts songs, or if you have a favorite psalm from the Bible, those are also poetry. So any of those will
Yes,
work.
there I am not a poem person, so I do not have a favorite poem. I do love a lot of songs that you can go through. I can go through a lot of them. I would say not even the whole psalm, but the Bible verse. I'm going to stick to that because but this Bible verse has just been so transformational in my particular life that it's for I am the Lord your healer. And so it's like literally in Exodus 15:26, it's like he explains that he is the Lord and he is your healer. And it's like, wow, that is pretty darn powerful when you look at that. And that's really fun. And even in Romans 8:28, it's like literally God does everything for our good. Even though you don't, like, look at my life, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, woe is me. I have this C thing. I could not be here in a couple of months. Life sucks. Life is bad. Life is everything. I could have done that, or I could have done what I ended up doing, and just believing that he has a plan and understanding he has a plan. And guess what? He'd save me on the operating table. And I look back and I was like, oh my gosh, he's done so many things for my life that it's only him. The only reason that I'm here is because of him. So he literally does everything for our good when you look back at your life. He's setting up things for you that you don't know. Incredible. So those would be the two things that transform my life, is that he is our healer, and that he does all things for our good.
I like that. Well, if you're looking for those quotes in context, I just posted a link to Bible Hub. I really like Bible Hub for biblical quotes, so it can show you the different versions. No matter what version of the Bible you want to read, you can go and see what it says in that version, in that translation. So those are posted to the chat. As with all the other things we've mentioned tonight, those have all been posted to the chat as we've been going through. So feel free to check those out. Now, you've mentioned a lot of life hacks along the way here. Do you have a favorite life hack?
You know, probably the most favorite one is, you asked me that earlier, and this literally has changed just through this conversation, because this is something that I used to not do at all, and when I started doing it, I absolutely loved it, and it's cold plunging. It's like it's such
No.
a strange life hack. It's like it's because it's like that sucks to put your
Yeah.
body through that cold, right? It's like cold sucks. Cold is bad, right? Your body knows it's bad. It's like you start shaking, it's freezing, but it's what it does to your body is so incredibly cool when you get out of it and your body naturally warms up, and you just get this rush of energy, and you feel amazing. And that's just a natural reaction of what your body's doing through that cold therapy. So people that do it often are addicted to it, because it's like nobody wants to get in that cold plunge. Nobody, right? But they do it because they know on the other end of it why it's so good for the body. So that's kind of my most recent life hack, is like cold plunging is super cool. That's something I didn't think I would ever say, but that's because I already gave you my 7, right? Those 7 are that
Yeah.
the 7 are life hack. But the
No,
one
I
that
like
surprised
those.
me most probably was the cold plunge.
I've got a friend who does cold plunges, and she said she has to really psych herself up for it, and then the
Yeah.
whole time she's just cussing all the way through it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I went, then why do you do it? And she goes, because you feel so good after. I'm like,
It's so
okay, all
I
right.
mean, there's no other way to explain it, because when you're sitting there ready to
Yeah.
get in, you're like, "Oh, this sucks." Yeah.
Yes.
You're like, "I don't wanna
And
do
she's been
this."
doing it for years. She's been doing it for
Yeah.
years, and she's like, no, still every time. She's a big runner too. And
That's
so she's like,
awesome,
every
awesome.
time I have to psych myself up for it. And then I'm
Yeah.
cussing the whole way through it. And then I get out and I feel so good. And I'm just like,
I
okay,
love her
well,
already. Yeah, yeah, that's
I'm
hilarious.
glad that works for you. Uh, Well, it is time for the magic moment of the stream. So if you could wave a magic wand and eliminate one common opinion or misconception surrounding mental health, what would it be?
I'd say it's like, it's not weird, right? Having mental
Mm,
health is amazing. God gave us this incredible mind, and mental health is everybody has a mental state. So mental health, I think,
yeah.
is just a lot of people have a negative connotation for mental health. And it's like, just here's my magic wand, go away. That's not true. Mental health is natural. Everybody has a mind, and mental health isn't a negative thing, it's a positive thing.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that quite a bit. Well, I'm going to post your links one more time for folks to go ahead and connect with you again. And while I'm doing that, I'm just going to give you the floor. Anything we didn't talk about that you want to make sure and throw out there, anything you got going on, I'm going to direct people to a website, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, but I'll just give you the floor for a little bit, Rob, and talk about whatever you'd like.
I appreciate that. One thing's been obviously the super passionate about is the light code system that have developed. I've written my book, and I'm talking to a couple of different publishers on actually getting it physically published out into the world. So look forward to that coming soon. But the light code system is pretty cool. It's literally red light therapy and frequency therapy and molecular hydrogen therapy, I call the fueler, and then the mind body spirit connection component of it, I've developed into a program that is amazing. And so on our website at exostrong.com, I literally was on the Steve Gruber show. It's a national radio show just recently, and we have a Steve Gruber special. So I want to just let people know that it's there. And the awesome thing about it is you get a amazing red light therapy mask, and the red light therapy, the pre-serum and the post mist. And you get that whole system, which is like $279 for free as part of it. The whole system, you get this red light therapy mat that is just ginormous. It's a really large red light therapy mat. It's like six
Oh,
feet tall,
wow.
almost like 71 inches, and it's amazing. So you just lay on it, and that red light literally changes over the energy system in your body, right? And it has near infrared, so it goes deep inside to the body, and it really transforms you. And those systems are typically $1,200. We sell it for almost $800 on our site. But with the Gruber special, it's like $597, and we give you that whole $297 component for free. So we give you the face mask and the serum. The serum's pretty cool. It's got these components in it that help the collagen in the skin. So women are absolutely love this product because it helps. And then you put the red light therapy on it after the serum, and it treats the face in an amazing way. And then we have a mist that goes on after, and you just feel your skin feels fantastic after. So, I use that even as well. A lot of men use it in addition to women. So I gotta get rid of some of these things that are these little lines that are coming. I need to get rid of those. But anyway, that's the only thing. It's just that's a special that is pretty awesome. You can save a ton of money, and if you know anybody who is into red light, that's an unbelievable deal and opportunity that I can provide for people. But even if you don't want to go something super advanced like that, we have this little targeted wand. It's smaller. And where is my wand? And the wand is like $100. It's a really neat wand because it goes direct to a particular problem area. If you have arthritis, or you have a elbow problem, or shoulder problem, or a back problem, you can use that little targeted therapy, and it really helps a lot. And you can put it in your purse. You can take it with you and go places. That's pretty fun. So that whole red light therapy solution is a lot of fun. Supplement that's absolutely incredible. It's got 7 biblical herbs in it. That's the Exodus product we have. Oh, here's the sample of it. And then it's got the 7 herbs, which give you barley grass and wheatgrass, which give you the nutrients that you're missing in the food supply. Has saffron, great for mood and anxiety. It has aloe, so really good gut health component. And it's got cumin, frankincense, and myrrh. Those help reduce inflammation, or it supports inflammation response. And then why that's important is the big P word, the chronic issue that people have. My old podcast, I Am Pain Free, the inflammation is the cause of most of that. And so if you can find a product that helps reduce that inflammation, it really helps with that problem. And then the molecular hydrogen thing, we haven't talked about it at all tonight, but I talk a little bit about it. Molecular hydrogen is so cool. When you get molecular hydrogen in the bloodstream, it acts as a master antioxidant. It goes and targets the bad cells in your bloodstream. It's called the sentient cells, or zombie cells, sometimes people call it. And they're just cells that have died off, and they're in your bloodstream, and they need to be removed. And that's molecular hydrogen. It goes and finds those and attaches itself to it and extracts them from your bloodstream. And it finds the mitochondria. And if it's a good mitochondria, then it helps the mitochondria work better. So it helps the good mitochondria work good, and it gets rid of the bad. So molecular hydrogen is super, super cool. And this supplement has a molecular hydrogen blend where your body creates the molecular hydrogen. So it's an incredible all-around support supplement that you can get for $59 for a month supply on our website. So it's very, very affordable, and something that really is transformational in people's health. And so you can go whatever, right? You can go big on the red light therapy product, or you can go down to the wand, or you can down to the supplement. And then we have these little skin patches and these mists that we talked about with the frequency components. This mist are absolutely. We were at a health conference this weekend, and a friend of mine had been introduced to our mist, and it's a mist you spray on, and within 5 seconds it changes people. So he'd go muscle test people, and he test their strength with these 4 different tests, and then he sprays this spray on them. In 5 seconds, does the same test on those people, and they're just like, "What?" Because it's like they just got sprayed with this frequency spray, and that frequency connects to the energy system in their body, and their body immediately reacts, and they're just like blown away because like, hold it, what did you just do? They can't believe that actually happened. And that's how cool these frequency technologies are. It's like really transforming people's health. So you can check our frequencies products out there as well. So lots of things to help people with their health. And then we do have I can't skip this piece. This is a prayer guide that goes with every one of our products. So we do have a prayer guide. That's where I want you to engage your mouth, because there's power in the tongue, as the Bible tells you. If you look at the eyes, you're reading it, and then your ears are hearing yourself saying it. So you're engaging your mind, body, and spirit in your health journey. So we think that's really important as well. So visit
Well,
exodusstrong.com and check that out.
yeah. I just grabbed the link specifically to that Gruber
Oh,
deal and
good.
put that in the chat as well. So if you're looking for that, there's a link straight to it. But honestly, like I went to the homepage and there was a link to it right at the top. So it's not hard to find. It's not hidden. Well,
Very
Rob, thank
simple.
you so much for being here. Thank you for spending your time and energy here with us tonight. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. It's been a blast.
Yeah, good. Glad to hear you say that. Well, folks who are here with us still, stick around. I'm going to disconnect with Rob offline. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to give you a puzzle to work on again. But thank you again, Rob, just for being here. Thank you, everyone who's here as part of the Even Tacos Fall Apart community. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. And thank you for being who you are. I will be right back. Let me disconnect with Rob. Don't go anywhere.
That was my conversation with Rob Rene, and damn, what a story. A guy who flatlined on an operating table, fought his way through cancer, drank to numb what he didn't want to look at, and came out the other side still standing. That is not a small thing. Healing is not tidy. Rob didn't get a neat little arc where one thing happened and then he was fixed. He got years of it. Setbacks, fear, a body that kept throwing new problems at him right when he thought he'd caught a break. And through all of that, the thing that kept him moving was hope. Chosen again and again on days when choosing it probably felt impossible. You don't have to have your shit together to be healing. You don't have to have all the answers or a clean explanation for why you feel the way you feel. You just have to keep choosing to try. Some days that looks like running 4 miles. Other days it looks like getting out of bed or calling that one friend you've been avoiding because you don't know what to say yet. Both of those count and both of those matter. If you're carrying something heavy right now, physical, mental, emotional, whatever it is, I hope this conversation reminded you that you're not the only one who's had to fight for every inch of ground back. And I hope it reminded you that that fight is worth having. Falling apart doesn't mean you're broken beyond repair. It means you're living, feeling, and navigating the tough stuff. Until next time, remember that you're allowed to take up space exactly as you are. Even if you feel a little messy, you still bring so much to the table. Just like tacos, the best parts shine through no matter what. I'll see you in the next episode.